So with all of the Assassin's Creed gameplay floating around, it was definitely a mixed reception for that showcase. A lot of people liked it and some people did not. But apart from the gameplay that was shown at Ubisoft Forward, as well as some exclusive footage sent to creators, there was also the trailer for the collector's edition for Assassin's Creed Shadows that was released, and in that trailer, there was a moment where the full map seemed to be revealed to us. Bear in mind, before Ubisoft Forward, all we had was this image to go off that depicts the map of Shadows. And now we have what appears to be the full map of where the game is set. So right off the bat, I have a question. Are you guys more of a big map person or a small map person? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, what I want to do in this video is pretty much go over the full map that was shown and go over some things that I felt are worth mentioning in regards to the map, such as breaking down each region and certain things that we might see in the game. Now just real quick, once again be sure to enter my Assassin's Creed Shadows giveaway by pressing the link in the description. And with all of that said, let's get right into the video. Now, before I delve into the full map that was revealed in the collector's edition trailer, I first want to go over some information that is quite relevant to the in-game map of Assassin's Creed Shadows. First off, I've already said in a past video that the map will be a similar size to Assassin's Creed Origins, but it will not be as large as Valhalla or Odyssey, as confirmed by creative director Jonathan Dumont himself. But another notable thing he said was the scale of the map would be closer to a real-life scale ratio. So this means castles would take up a lot of space, mountains would feel like true mountains, and the overall environment feel wider in the game. Now, I'm all for this. For me, the perfect size map for the quote-unquote RPG games was Assassin's Creed Origins. It was a map that was not massive by any means, but it was also a map that was not small at all. So seeing as the map of Shadows will be a similar size does sound quite promising. Now, one thing we need to realize is that since Assassin's Creed Shadows will feature a massive region of Japan, and not the actual whole of Japan itself, it should feel larger and more immersive, because it's focused on a specific part rather than the entire country, which I can see would allow for better scaling and overall detail. That's what I hope at least. Now, one of, if not the main reason why I've never been a fan of Assassin's Creed Valhalla is because of the map and the world. You see, Ubisoft had their attempt at creating a map that was the entirety of England, and we all know it's not about size, it's about how it's executed. The world in Valhalla, while sure it's historically accurate and whatnot, is so ridiculously lifeless to the point where nothing grabbed your attention. There was barely any wildlife, barely any people around, the towns and cities were too far between, and when you did stumble into a city or a town, it was so gloomy and dead. Explain to me how a massive stretch of desert in Assassin's Creed Origins feels a lot more alive than Valhalla's entire world. It just doesn't make any sense. So just seeing the Shadows gameplay at Ubisoft Forward and seeing this city or town just full of NPCs and finally returning to vibrancy is something I'm all for. So now let's actually go over the full map that was revealed a few days ago in the collector's edition trailer. So right off the bat, the first thing we can see is the various regions and provinces in Japan that we'll be exploring. Now these regions and provinces are of course geographic from the feudal period, and there are a total of 9 that we can see. Now excuse my pronunciation here, but there's Wakasa, Tamba, Harima, Yamashiro, Settsu, Omi, Iga, Yamato, and last but not least, Ki. Now from the outside looking in, I'm sure like 95% of us watching are not historians with knowledge about each region and province, but we do have access to a pretty magical creation known as Google, and if we take a look at each region and province, we can get a pretty decent understanding of what to expect and how it fits in with the time period of feudal Japan. First off, there's Wakasa. Now this in-game is situated in the northwestern part of the map, and it's bordered by the Sea of Japan to the north. This is a province that's known for its pretty good looking coastal areas and mountainous terrain, which I can see in-game being one of the more visually appealing areas to be in. Now a few days ago when I made this video, I talked about a specific shot where there was a boat named Awasan that was used for transportation, fishing and whatnot. I'm thinking of it now, since Wakasa was known for fishing and maritime trade during the feudal period, perhaps this scene could have been set in that region. Maybe this is where we'll see fishing villages along the coast, and dare I say, even naval missions could occur here. This is all my speculation, so do not take it as confirmed information. The next region on the map of Shadows is a region named Tamba, which is located southwest of Wakasa on the map. Now this region is known for some pretty rugged mountains and dense forests. In fact, the rugged landscapes essentially served as a natural barrier, and in terms of feudal Japan, this was excellent for influencing military strategies and providing refuge for outlaws and warriors. I'd expect to see some remote villages hidden in the mountains in Assassin's Creed Shadows, especially in this Tamba region. Now here's the juicy part. So the famous battle of Yamasaki took place near the border of Tamba, and if you're not aware as to what this battle even is, this is the battle that essentially took place in 1582, which involved involved Oda Nobunaga, who we know will play a massive role in the game, forced to commit seppuku, which is a form of suicide. I wouldn't be surprised if we take part in a mission that reenacts the Battle of Yamasaki, delving deeper into the whole assassination of Oda Nobunaga and the chaos that it provided. Also, here's something else that might sound interesting. So, of course, we know that Odyssey was made by the same studio making Shadows, and in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there was a lot of mythology. You know, we saw Minotaurs, Cyclops, Medusa, and whatnot. And the region of Tamba in Japan is said to be rich in folklore, including tales of yokai or spirits. We have not seen anything mythology related for this game so far, but if we do, I'd expect Tamba to be one of those regions in the game where some sort of mythology could take place. The third region of the Assassin's Creed Shadows map I want to go over is Harima, which is located west of the map near the coast. Now, this was a province that was known for trade as well as its fertile plains. It was one of those provinces that not much is known about if you really want to go in depth. But what I can say is that since we know the game is set kind of late 16th century when Oda Nobunaga was focused on unifying Japan, he had a main target which was the Mori clan, and essentially a big battle broke out in the Harima province that featured Toyotomi Hideyoshi, which, thinking of it now, we have not actually seen any footage of him yet, surprisingly. Also, I already talked about some historical landmarks confirmed in the game, and one of them was Himeji Castle, which is one of the most stunning castles in real life, and this is situated in the Harima province, so do expect to be able to explore that in game. Now, this is the one castle in the game that I'm very curious about, because if you know about this castle, you'd know that this is the largest castle in all of Japan. In fact, all of this on screen is part of the castle, and if you remember earlier in the video, Jonathan Dumont said the scale of the map is close to a real life scale ratio, which meant castles like this one would take up a lot of space. So will we see this full scale castle in the game? I doubt it, but where's the harm in wondering? Okay, now next up we have the Yamashiro region, which is located in the most central region of the map. Now this region straight off the bat seems like it will be the most important. It's pretty much the cultural heart of Japan during the feudal period, and it's home to Kyoto, which is this piece of artwork that Ubisoft released. Now this is Kyoto in the game, and honestly it looks pretty goddamn massive. Once again, going back to the whole rendered at a 1:1 scale ratio thing that they said. One thing I do like about this city just off this image is how the buildings are close together. I can already see grapple hook parkour being used quite a lot in Kyoto, and since this is during the winter season, I can only imagine how much more stunning it will look in the summer. Also, I'm pretty sure this blank space on the map is supposed to feature the Tamba province. So that's Tamba with an N instead of an M. And this image is another artwork released by Ubisoft that might depict this region. Over here you can see Takeda Castle, which is known as the castle in the sky. I mean, it certainly looks that way. Anyway, going back to the Yamashiro region itself, since it was a central region, it made the military stronghold pretty effective, so controlling this region for any daimyo, especially Oda Nobunaga, was pretty important. Next up, we have the province of Settsu, which is situated south of Yamashiro. Now this province was pretty important during the feudal period because of how important it was for the economic and military side of things. So as you can imagine, for a game like Shadows, this province will play a pretty important role in the story. The Settsu province features Osaka and Osaka Castle, which were the primary centers of the province. Today, much of Setsu's area is pretty much occupied by the modern cities of Osaka and Kobe. Oh, and going back to Osaka Castle, this is another castle just like Himeji Castle that we will see in the game as confirmed by Ubisoft developers in a Famitsu interview. But one thing that's pretty important to note is that Osaka Castle was not built until 1583, after Oda Nobunaga's death, so I do wonder how Ubisoft will manage to fit this castle in the game, seeing as it will not be built when we start off. I'm curious if they do a similar situation to what they did with Unity, and how there was a certain landmark in that game that was built over time. But to be fair, we do know that seasons are a thing in Shadows, so maybe we'll get to see it built as the seasons go by. The next region we can see on the map is Omi, which is east of Yamashiro. Now straight off the bat, we can easily see that the Omi region is surrounding this massive lake, which is called Lake Biwa, which is known as the largest freshwater lake in Japan. The main purpose for Omi's location was important for transportation and communication in feudal Japan. It served as an important link between Kyoto, which is the ancient capital, and many other regions that we can see on the map. But one thing that is pretty important, and I have a feeling we'll see in the actual game, is Oda Nobunaga's invasion from the east, where he defeated many clans and shogunates, and after he defeated all of these people, he built Azuchi Castle near Lake Biwa in Omi, which is a castle that's confirmed by Ubisoft that we'll see in the game. This is also the same castle in which Oda Nobunaga planned to eventually rule all of Japan and beyond. Omi is also home to many historical temples and shrines, so I hope in Shadows it's a great region to explore. It does look pretty big on the map, so there's hope in that. Okay, now moving on to the third last region shown in the map, and we have the Iga province. Now this province is situated southeast of Omi, and it's pretty famous for its secretive practices and the birthplace of the shinobi. Now out of every region and province in this video, this one is the one we know the most about in terms of how it relates to Shadows. We know that this is the province where our main protagonist Naoe is from. We also know that Oda Nobunaga in in this game invaded Iga, sparking the Tensho-Iga War. He returned in 1581 and with the help of Yasuke, he devastated the entire province. Of course, Naoe was the lone survivor of this. I do wonder how much of this province we'll see in the game, apart from the whole destruction of it, where everything seems to happen related to Naoe, but we'll just have to wait and see. What we do know is that it's a pretty beautiful province. Well, that's before Nobunaga destroyed it. And the second last region of the revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows map is Yamato, which is south of Iga and Yamashiro. Now this region is one of the oldest and most ancient ones in this entire video, so expect it in the game to be very historic. It was pretty much the birthplace of ancient Japan and Japanese culture. This region also saw the origins of millennia-old traditions such as sumo, Japanese Buddhism, sake brewing, rice cultivation, and even tea production during the Asuka and Nara periods. I can honestly see this region in the game being dotted with many historic temples and shrines, which will be pretty cool to explore. And like many other regions in this game, it's pretty mountainous in its terrain, and it contains a lot of dense forest full of wildlife. It's just a very aesthetically pleasing area to explore in Shadows, or at least I hope it is. Now that brings me to the last region shown on the map in Shadows, and that's the Key region, which is the southernmost region of the entire map. It's a region that's known for its very rugged coastline and Kumano-Kodo pilgrimage routes, which have been used for over 1,000 years. This is also one of the regions that's quite mountainous and contains a lot of forested landscapes. So exploration wise for Assassin's Creed Shadows, I can see this being pretty good. Even the coastlines are pretty stunning. Oh yeah, and hot springs. If you like Ghost of Tsushima's hot springs, then you'd be glad to know that Key is a region known for its numerous hot springs. So there's that, I guess. I do wonder if we'll be able to actually visit hot springs in the game. I don't see why not. One thing I will say though is expect some sort of stealth mission in the forest in Key because it's very foresty. So that's all the regions we can see on the full map of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now there are a few things I need to talk about that relates to this map. So first off, if you've been paying attention to the post-launch Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff, you know that Ubisoft plans to release 2 expansions down the line for this game. And in the promotional material for this game, they mentioned explore new lands, meet new characters, and unravel new mysteries. So this definitely seems like, apart from the full map I've been talking about in this video, we'll most likely travel to different parts of Japan that we don't know yet. So that could be interesting to see what could happen with that. But let's not focus on that. The game has not even been released yet. Oh yeah, and one more thing I want to talk about with this map is this. This is a blank spot on the map that has no region or province name. So if you try to identify and locate what this could be, it seems like it would be the Ise Province. But the fact that it does not have a name might suggest it's a location we could see in an expansion that I was talking about. But let's say it is the Ise Province. I looked at what this province was known for and what it contains, and I couldn't really find much apart from some Shinto shrines. And it's a province dedicated to the sun goddess Amaterasu, but I don't really know much about this. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. If you did enjoy this video or have anything you'd like to chip in regards to the full map that I might have missed, comment it down below, because remember, I'm not a historian. I never claimed to be. I just use Google like everybody else. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not. And with all of that said, I'll see you in the next one.